Hello. In this video, we're going to understand how Gemini's ad hoc Excel reporting works. And to do that, we're going to actually create a brand new report. So first of all, let's see how Gemini's Excel reporting normally works. You click on the reports folder and you can either download to Excel whatever is currently filtered in the list, or you can send whatever is currently filtered to one of the existing reports. So let's send data to this breakdown by status report and let's see what we get. Open that up. I've got to enable editing, which is just a security precaution, and there we go. Gemini's built me this nice pivot chart. Where's the data? Well, the answer is that there are two sheets that are hidden. One is the definition sheet, where you tell Gemini what columns you want it to export, and the other is the data sheet, where Gemini actually puts the data. And this pivot table is quite frankly just built from the data that is in that data sheet. So let's go and create our own report. Now, the easiest way to do this is to actually take an existing report like this one and actually just make it your own. So we're going to delete this status sheet because we want to create our own. Now, we could actually simply leave this data in there. Let's just clear these contents. And in fact, let me just resize this column. So I've selected the whole column. I do a right mouse click, column width, and let's make it 25 so we can see what else is left. And then here's the rest of the data that we can clear out. But I want to show you the whole process from start to finish. So let's go back to the beginning, and here we go. So I've emptied out the data, and here's the definitions, and these are the fields that I want. If you look at the Gemini help, docs.countersoft.com, it will describe in detail how all of this works, and it will tell you the names that Gemini has for all of its fields that you can export. Now, if you create a custom field, all you need to do is prefix your field with CF underscore. So if you create a custom field called number of employees, as this example says, to get it in Excel, you just put CF underscore number of employees, and Gemini will export that field. So back to our sheet. Now, we've got a blank data sheet, and we've specified the definitions that we want to export. So we'll create our new report. And to do that, you need to put the report in a specific location. So Gemini's Excel reports go on the web server underneath what's called the app data folder into a reports folder. And here we're going to call this demo. Again, I need to spell properly. So there we go, demo. And that's it. I've created a demo worksheet. Let's go and see if that works. Now, in order for us to pick up this demo spreadsheet, we have to force Gemini to reload all of the reports. And the way to do that, or the easy way to do that, is to go to IIS, which is the web server, find the application pool that Gemini uses, and then recycle it. That's all I need to do. The next time I try to access information in Gemini, Gemini refreshes, reloads, and lo and behold, oops, that's the refresh. There's demo. Let's click on demo and see what we get. That's downloaded. We'll open it up. Here we go. We're on the definitions tab. Go to the data tab. Look at that. All the data is coming back. Well, now, I'll just enable editing. Now, the typical kind of thing that you want to do is you want to create a pivot table or a pivot chart, or you want to create some other type of reporting based on the data that's in here. I'll open a new sheet and I'll click on insert, and I'll insert a pivot chart. Now, pivot tables and pivot charts are based on data, and Excel needs to know where the data is. If you look at the formulae that exist in the sample reports, you will find that there is a formula in there, which is data. And data is a dynamic offset of the count of whatever is on the data sheet. In other words, it will automatically always select what is in data. There is a bit of an Excel funny, which means that it doesn't like counting both down and across. So when we look at that name manager, you'll see that what we've done is we've counted down, but we've actually specified how far we want to go across. If you need to go across further, simply increase that count. And you're done. Yes, I save changes to the name reference. So now when I insert my pivot chart or my pivot table, I simply have to tell Excel that its data source is equal to the formula sign data. And then I can either put it in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. This worksheet is blank. I'll put it here. Excel looks at the data range and gives me every single field that is in here. So I could quite simply come in here now and say, I'll have the components or the status. Let's say I want to analyze things by status. I need the title. So these are coming in the axis, status and title. And the pivot always needs to know or have a value that it's going to count or sum. So if it was time, you could put time in here and it would simply use time values. If it was a number, you could put that there. But essentially, you've got to have a value that you are going to count. Now, that's why in the data, Gemini always exports a field value called count. We just keep going. Oh, there's count. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So if nothing else, you can count the number of things. Let's just work out which column this is in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So that's in 17. And the reason it's not appearing in our pivot is that we didn't count far enough. This is a very common problem. What we really need to say is, let's get out of the pivot, go to the name manager and say that data doesn't count to 16. Data actually counts, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Data actually counts to 17 and close that. Save the changes to the name reference. Now, if I do a right mouse click and I refresh my pivot and I start to scroll down, I've got count. And I can pick count up, and rather than make it into a field, I'll make it a value. And look at that. Gemini is instantly starting to count the number of things that fall under a specific value and is immediately giving me the ability to create pivot charts. Of course, I can change the chart type and I can do various other things like have report filters. So let's create a report filter so I can filter by type. Now I've got a drop down. Do I want bugs or stories or tasks? Can I select multiple items? Let's have bugs and tasks and so on and so forth. All very easy once you understand how Gemini puts the data out and how pivot tables are built. And of course, because it's a pivot table, all you need to do is double click and Excel will blow out and allow you to do detailed analysis of what values make up the things that you're looking at in your tables or on your charts. Now you can beautify this to your heart's content. You could, for example, remove the grid lines, click on view, let's get rid of those. So it sits nicely on a pure white background. We could then go to the design and change the coloring of our pivots, or in fact, we could change the chart type. Let's pick a pie. That's okay. The right mouse click, we'll add some data labels and then we'll format our data labels and let's have a percentage, not the value, and then we'll show the category name. And we start then to stretch this out and make it look a lot bigger and so on and so forth. Get rid of any extraneous sheets if you want to put this back as the new saved view. And remember to get rid of everything that is in the datasheet, with one exception. If you have a formula, you can put a formula in the first column after the columns that are exported. So I could, for example, have a formula that says today. And in here, I could say equals today, and that's that. Now Gemini will copy this formula down and execute it against every single row of data that it exports. So if you do have formulae, maybe to perform calculations, it's really easy so long as they go past the last column that Gemini has a definition in and has to be against that last column. You can't leave a gap, otherwise Gemini won't know it's there. And in that case, you would delete all of the data that was in there, or clear out all of the data, bar the titles, except for your calculations, because obviously you want to leave them in there. So to prettify it up, you would then empty data, apart from your columns, hide data, hide the definitions, make it appear as if this nice pivot all appeared by magic. Do a file save as, overwrite the copy in the reports folder, and you've built yourself a Gemini ad hoc report.